This is the Transparency Podcast Show.
Yeah, Michelle, let me ask you a question. Have you, when you first started transitioning, have you ever go to a makeup artist to do?
I took some online classes during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But that was about it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember when I first started, I started like doing some modeling gigs,
Yes.
and
Yes,
I did. I did. No. I did hire a makeup artist to help me to look because I don't know how to do makeup.
Awesome. Yes.
I was horrible. So today our special guest, she's kind of like a personal friend of mine.
Awesome.
And she's been very supported since the start of my transitioning, coming out about 10 years ago.
Love it.
And she has this business doing makeup for trans people and photo shoots. And so we'll let her talk about her business today.
Excellent.
Yeah, her name is Gina Ortiz.
I'm really excited to meet you, Gina.
Thank you for having me. It's really, really nice to be here. Thank you. Really good to see you, Shelby.
Yeah, same here.
And nice to meet you, Michelle.
I've heard great things about you, so I'm excited about this time.
So hopefully they're true.
They are.
Yeah. So
I'm sure they are.
Tell us about your background and a little bit about your business.
Well, I'm 54, and my first, happy birthday. My first exposure, I guess, to this world was when I was 14 years old. And I was friends with a local drag queen named Chantel Austin. And she invited me to come photograph one of her performances. Wow. As a boy, he ran this pet store that I used to go to when I had this little baby snake. Mm-hmm. So I'd go in on Saturdays and I would buy baby mice. And one time I came in, I happened to have my camera around my neck, and he came screaming up to me, oh my gosh, are you a photographer? And I made a joke. I said, no, actually, I just wear this around my neck to meet boys. And he just looked at me, and I said, see, it worked. So anyway, we started talking. He said, our regular photographer is canceled. We have this huge performance in a couple of days. Can you come down to Civic Center Park? And I said, Civic Center Park? That is the People's Fair. He says, yeah, we're going to do a little show there. He didn't tell me that it was the main stage and there was 15 other drag queens and it was like the main attraction. Yeah. The Civic Center Park holds, 500,000 people once a year. So I was, of course, nervous as a cat, but I got there early to let everybody know that I was there. And I went backstage and I watched him go from a furry farm boy with overalls and muddy boots, I knew him as Perry. But that day, he turned into Barbara Streisand right in front of me. Wow. I watched him do this incredible makeover that literally, like from shaving all the way to taping his hair, or taping his face all out. And, and when he turned around, I got goosebumps because it was just like Barbara Streisand. If you would have seen him at the airport, he would have gotten smothered for autographs. That's how much he looked like Barbara Streisand. And I'll never forget that day. People ask me all the time how I got into this, and that was the day because I watched him turn from a man into this incredibly glamorous, elegant woman, and I thought, oh my God, I have to do that.
Yeah. Wow.
So long story short, he kind of took me under his wing and introduced me to all the other drag queens. Later, when I brought all of the photos in for them to all see,
right.
Because I had like a couple hundred 8x10s that I toiled over in my darkroom at home. I made all these color 8x10s and brought them in. And all the queens were sitting around this big table at this, like a Denny's kind of restaurant. And they looked at them and just, oh, swoon, you're only 14. Oh my God.
Wow.
And they invited me to all the shows. And before I knew it, they were taking care of me. When I got sick, they'd bring soup and coming over and kind of helping me fix up my apartment and everything. And I learned makeup from her.
Amazing.
Wow.
But it was many years later that I wanted to actually pursue it as a career. I went through the music industry and publishing and all this other stuff. When I moved to LA is when I decided to go full bore with it.
Wow. So you kind of, because drag queen is more like a showbiz. So the makeup is kind of different from, let's say, a trans person per se, right?
Very much.
So how do you like doing drag queen for the show to...
Well,
meaning like have clients for like trans people that want to be.
It's a good thing that you asked me that because I met a lot of trans people along the way when I was hanging around in the drag circles because back in Denver in the 80s, that's the only place they could go out.
80s.
Was a drag club.
Okay.
And so transgender people were still in very deep hiding back then.
Yeah.
I was just a kid. And so to see a trans person out in the normal world, they were subject to all kinds of terrible.
Trouble. Yeah.
And I think, excuse me, I think that was part of my need, I guess, if you will, not the desire, but the need to help them. Because there was no one else that would. There was nowhere else they could go. I was already used to that world. I was already more comfortable in that world than I was the straight world.
Right.
Anyway, because I felt kind of rejected from that part of society too in my own way. And it felt like whenever I was working with a queen or with a trans woman, that it was like sort of all in the family. It was kind of like our little club, and that we could be ourselves and we could listen to the music we loved and we could dance around and we could be silly without, being judged. Right. And so I always felt that that was more for me. You know what the real challenge was, though, because I was raised kind of doing drag makeup, to learn how to do normal straight makeup. Tone that down. There's no point of no purples and pinks here, please. And so it was very hard for me to adapt to that style of makeup and the no makeup look. To me was harder.
Wow, interesting.
So there's no big white pan sticks and there's no long lashes and there's none of the black liquid line. There's none of those things. It was literally just really clean, blending and hardly very, very subtle makeups. And that was my big learning curve. That's actually when I wanted to go to makeup school.
Oh, wow.
Because I wanted to learn better how to do makeup on real girls. Or so. So it was said on the very first day of makeup school, we all introduce ourselves and say what we do. And I said, I've been doing drag makeup since I was blah, blah, blah. And so the teacher said, well, then you better be ready to learn some really plain, boring makeups, because this is my degree is actually in film and television. Okay. So I have to learn how to make anybody look good on the fly in 2 minutes or less. Oh, wow. If they're on a make or a film set, they don't have a long time for makeup. I have to get them ready and out that door in seconds. And you never know what you're going to get, who's going to sit in your chair. It could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be someone old. Right. So that's what makeup school taught me, and I'm actually really proud of that, because I thought I knew everything about makeup before I went to makeup school, and boy, was I wrong.
Wow. So did you ever put any makeup on any famous person that we know?
No.
No.
Okay. Not that you could tell us anyway.
I've done little movies that no one's ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
I did Sally Kellerman? No, not Sally Kellerman. What's her name? Sally Kirkland? That's about as famous as I ever got. Yeah. Excuse me.
I love it.
So. Yeah. So you start get involved in the LGBTQ community in the 80s, correct? So I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes, a lot of
oh my God.
So can you kind of share what's the difference between now and then, like maybe 80s, 90s?
I don't know if your listeners are actually going to appreciate that, because I'm divided right down the middle with that. In some ways, I think it's amazing changes for the better, and then some changes are just suck. Some changes are horrible, and I hate to say it, but I blame and credit social media for both, because in one way, I think that the community has come way out of hiding, which is great. Yeah. And that they're blessed that now they have this huge community. They're not alone anymore. They're not in shame anymore. They're not living in this horrific, dark place of shame and suicidal feelings and alcoholism and all kinds of terrible, destructive behaviors that trans people were, when they thought that they were alone, that's what they centered toward. Right. So they've been freed. Yay. And all of these terrible habits are falling off, and now they're making friends and they're having events. Because I know, Shelby, you have a lot of events. I know that you've had a lot of gatherings and stuff at the beach and clothing swaps and stuff. Yes. And so Shelby here gives people somewhere to go that isn't a bar.
Yeah, outside
and that's important, because sometimes some of us are in recovery and don't want to. We want to socialize, but we don't want to go to a bar. Exactly. We don't want to hear where you have to scream at each other. Totally. And so to be outside at the beach or go to Dawn's for a clothing swap or something like that is Super wonderful. Bowl parties. She's been actually really important in that part of the community. So in that way, I think it's really helpful that social media has brought everybody out. And let's get rid of all that shame, and let's put on our fanciest dress and go out and go dancing. And now people aren't afraid to go to regular restaurants. And now people aren't afraid to go shoe shopping.
I was just telling Michelle that she just came out starting transition 2 years ago only.
That's all?
Yeah, that's all. See, that's all.
Oh my God.
So I realized like the newer generation girls, they are coming out fast, and then they are totally know what to do.
Yeah.
Like myself, you see, 10 years ago, I have no clue.
That's because there was no information out there.
And I would have been in the same place. I've had a few people that I've seen come out, and even in the industry that I was in nonprofit and in ministry, where some key people came out, and that just showed me that I could do it. And so back in the 80s, you didn't have that. There was no one that had come out, and everybody was still in hiding and fearful. And that's how I think it's funny that people say, oh, it's so trendy now. Everybody is becoming transgender. No, we're just talking about it now because we haven't been able to before.
I want to slap people when they say that. That drives me nuts. Oh, it's so in to be trans. No, it's not. That's bravery 101 that you're seeing. It's not trends or following anything. It's bravery.
I talk a lot on social media about it's not a choice.
It isn't.
If I had a choice, I would have not chosen this. I would still be with my family. I would have a relationship with my kids. And I would be doing what I would normally be doing. But I'm very happy with this now because it's who I am. But it's a costful, painful road.
I know. And I guess from a service provider's point of view, I hear, and I don't mean to diminish anything that you're saying. I have to be really careful not to do that. But I hear that story every day.
Yes, exactly.
Of how hard they fought.
Totally.
And what they had to sacrifice, what they had to give up.
Cost is great.
Some people are really lucky. And, do you remember TS Roadmap?
The website?
The one website
yes.
that was like the first thing.
Yes, I do.
That Andrea James and Calpurnia Adams created this wonderful website called TS Roadmap. And I remember looking at that. Mm-hmm. I think when it first, I can't tell you the date that it launched, but it was around the time, and there was almost no information on it. But
the original stuff.
But the fact that there was a voice coming through a computer screen for someone to follow and to read. And I thought, okay, this is going to help me even as a service provider because sensitivity and just knowing having a little bit more information to work with when a client comes and knowing how to talk to them. And now they're everywhere. Those websites come and go. They're up and down every week. It's a different one and then they fold. But your original question about how the community has changed, I think that half of it has been a really great, positive empowering change, and the other half isn't so nice. And I think that narcissism and exhibitionism and vanity, and I've seen that a lot because I'm a makeup artist, and I'm kind of like, well, it's not really what I meant when I started. It wasn't about. I wanted to give people confidence, not egomania. I wanted to make them feel good about themselves to where they could go out and enjoy their life. I didn't want to turn them into a duck lift selfie addict.
So what kind of clientele do you have right now? Like, because I kind of noticed probably like 10, 15 years ago are club goers, right? Because like that at that time that we still have clubbing to go in our little community. So what about now? Like if people come to you, ask for your service, what are they planning to do?
I do about half and half. I do cross-dressers and I do trans women. Almost all of them are in their 40s. I have a very small percentage that are under 40. Most of them are older. Even I have one that's 82 or something.
Wow.
Who just transitioned in her 80s.
Oh my gosh, good for her.
I know. It was just a wonderful story. Actually, was because her wife died. And it's so sad, but at the same time, she says, I'm just glad that I was able to come out before I died.
Oh my God.
I said, don't talk like that. And she goes, honey, I'm 82.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it could happen to me anytime. And I said, I'm so sorry about your wife. And she says, I am too. God bless her heart. She left me some of the best dresses I've ever seen. I said, oh my God. She goes, now I don't have to worry about going out and looking for a wardrobe. And I said, I'm glad that you could turn this into a positive thing. But my clientele has changed so drastically since I first started because, you met us. We were all these club tramps.
Yes.
And, it was Tiffany Amber Rhodes and Luann, and all of us would get together, and everybody had these hot pink short skirts and fishnet stockings and the big platform boots. Now almost that's not
a thing.
Not at all. Yeah. It's older, sophisticated, usually highly educated trans women. I do get some youngsters every now and then, not very often, because I think that they started so young. When they started so much younger, the older generation, there's like a 25 or 30 year gap to where, I don't mean in their age, I mean like when it was okay to come out.
Right.
So the kids that are out today, it's been okay to come out for the last 10 years or something, but before that.
And then you grew up with makeup as a normal part of your life.
Right.
Like I intentionally stayed away. I did a few times where I would just try to practice or whatever, but I was trying to be a man. And so I didn't let myself. And so when I transitioned to 52, I have a steep learning curve. So like all these brands and choices and what is my skin color and what's an undertone and so much.
I know I hear that so much, and I don't want to talk about future plans, but let's say that I'm working very hard on getting something really special going that's going to help with that teaching. And because that is it, that is 90% of it. Any client, no matter if they are white or black or young or old or from wherever or whatever culture background they're from, it always have the same questions. How do I know what my skin type is? How do I find out? Right. With that, I don't want to go on YouTube and watch 700 videos that are going to tell me completely conflicting information.
Totally.
One video tells you one thing, and the very next video tells you the complete opposite.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, there actually are tricks that you can do. Take a shower, wait a couple of hours, and then get a piece of paper and stick it on your face. Does it stick? Most likely your oily skin. Does it leave a mark? You can tell if your skin is oily or dry.
Okay.
Obviously, by a couple hours after your shower, if you feel your nose here and it feels oily, you got oily skin. And I know that it sounds really obvious, but it's actually not, because sometimes we're oily in some places and dry in others. I have what's called combination skin. Most people do.
Right.
So things like that. And the most idiotic, what they think is an idiotic question actually isn't idiotic to me, because it's totally common sense. How are you supposed to know what mascara? How are you supposed to know what foundation? You can't ask, you can't look commercially, because every foundation company tells you theirs is the best.
Yeah,
Every mascara tells you that theirs is the best. It's a load of BS. Yes. I have a basket at home that has about 100 different types of mascara in it, and I call it the mascara graveyard.
Exactly.
Because it's an addiction. I literally will go out to the store every time I see a commercial for a new mascara. I'm in the car shooting flames out of my butt to get there in time, and I buy it and I put it on, and it's awful, and it goes in the mascara cemetery.
And waterproof is a lie. I haven't found anyone that is actually waterproof.
Really? They don't mean you can go swimming in the ocean for a month and then
just lasting throughout the day.
Yeah,
sweating.
There's a trick to putting it on. There's a way that you're supposed to put it on, but to me, waterproof mascara is awful, because it's too hard to get off.
Yes.
And it's really hard on your lashes, and your lashes will actually break off.
Yikes.
And it's not good for your lashes. It comes with conditioning. It has bullshit. No, it doesn't. I know, Rick. I can read the damn ingredients. And if it does, it's got such trace amounts of it. It's trying to convince you that it's not going to rip your lashes out when you put it on. It's not true.
Wow. See, this is why we need you.
There's so many millions of little tricks, and I thought, I charge people per lesson, and I think we've just gone past this area where we can keep doing that. I don't think that's not a business model that's going to last very long. Everything is online now.
Yes.
Zoom happened.
Totally.
Yes.
So
everybody
it's all going on Zoom now.
So do you help your client face off? Like, meaning after the night's over, do they come to you and take everything off?
Hell no. No, they used to, but I don't want people coming to my house at 3 o'clock in the morning drunk.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you remember?
So you like give them like,
we used to bring people
for
over.
example, do you give them like a wipe or some sort? Yes. Tell them what to do.
Well, first of all, before anybody even sits in my chair, I ask them where they're going and what they're doing, and I request them to be honest with me, because if you're going to be engaging in a little kissing and stuff, you're going to be fooling around. You got a date with a man or something. You better tell me, because that means you're going to have a different set of products. You're going to have, the smudge kiss-proof lipstick, smudge-proof makeup in case he roughs you up a little bit. You got to be able to still look good when you get up in the morning. Are you just going to go out dancing? you know, are you wearing a corset and breast forms? Because if you do, you're going to sweat more. You need these set of products now. But yes, I used to have people come to my house after the club, and I would take their makeup off because we were all at the bar too and drunk. Yeah. So here comes Mayor Phil with a girl on each arm. I'm like, oh, they need their makeup off. Oh, they do, huh? And I'm in my jammies, half drunk.
Oh my God.
But yeah, you know, no, I bring them. I give away little things of coconut oil. That's how I remove all my makeups is with coconut oil. It'll even remove adhesive. So it's really, really good on the skin.
Okay, so if anybody listening or watching this show, if they want to inquire your business, where can they find you?
Yeah.
Well, I actually have 2 websites. One is called tgtransitions.com. The other one is called tstransitions.com. You can probably guess which one was launched first. TS Transitions was first. That's when it was okay to say that.
Yeah.
And now it's not. So now it's TG. I forgot my own freaking website, tgtransitions.com.
Awesome.
Okay.
Very good.
And I did also see you have, you offer franchising on your business.
I can't believe you know that.
Of course,
yeah,
I do my homework.
I'm trying.
So can you kind of tell us how that works?
Well, what I really want to, if someone were to ask me what my 2 biggest challenges were with this business, I would say.
Okay, what are your 2 biggest challenges with your business?
I was hoping you would ask me that. One is that I'm far away, and no matter where I am, I'm too far away. Even if I'm in the middle of the center of the city. Somebody's coming up from Orange County, or someone's coming up from the north. Having only one location in a city this size is so stupid.
Wow.
Because I'm missing out on so much work because I'm just too far away. Part of it is because you can't just drive 3 hours, do a 3 or 4 hour appointment, and then drive 3 more hours. You can't be gone that long.
Right.
No matter who you are, you can't. You don't go to the doctor for 9 hours.
Right.
You know, when you go get your hair done, you're not gone for 9 hours. So it's really hard geographically. The other thing is that chances are, even if they do commit to that 3 hour drive, I'm booked. And that they have the one day off, and it's like, I want Saturday. I'm like, honey, everybody wants Saturday. Look, my calendar, I'm booked for the next 19 Saturdays.
Yes,
and so the idea was born for franchising through actually one of my cross-dressing clients who's a zillionaire said, Gina, he says, franchising is not where it's at. Licensing is where it's at. That's what you got to do. Wow. You need to license your brand to other people so they can buy into the business, run their own locations their way. Because the difference between licensing and a franchise is like, if you're a Subway and you want to buy a Subway or franchise a Subway sandwiches, you have to make the sandwiches exactly the way they do. You have to wear they have their signages and all their ugly uniforms, and everything is green and yellow. Everything has to be the same way. But if you license it, you actually can kind of do it your way. You can choose what services you want to offer. You know, you can be trained by me. But I'm not going to come around and say, knock, knock, knock. I found out that you weren't doing your eyeliner the way I told you to do it. So it's a lot more flexible. It's obviously a lot less hassle when it comes to the regulatory side of it, the taxes and all that kind of crap. So, you know, and I've been trying to do it for a while, but then once I felt like I was starting to make some progress, then COVID hit.
Of course, yes.
And everybody was afraid to do any kind of business. Nobody knew if anything was going to make it through that. Remember, it was such a nightmare. I mean, first of all, they closed my ass down because I was in a commercial building where we have cameras everywhere. And there was a lady underneath my floor that was doing hair, and she got caught doing hair, and they pulled her license.
Wow. Oh, really?
They locked her. Yep, they bolted her front door. The owners of the building found out she was doing hair. Because there's a camera right there. So they locked her out of her own business, and they yanked her reported her to the board and had her license pulled. Wow. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I won't be doing that. Right. Plus, no one wanted to come because I'm touching eyes and noses and mouths.
Yeah.
So it's like
exactly.
And you know, I was fine. I launched a nonprofit in that time.
Okay.
Good. So just to keep myself occupied, I was losing my mind. It's called Helper Bee. It's for the homeless. It's for where people donate food and clothing to the homeless, and they bring it to me, and I take it out into the streets. So they don't have to drive downtown and drop it off to any of these horrifically now dangerous, really dangerous places now. or they don't have to look around for places to donate, because a lot of these homeless organizations, you know, they have 80 to 100 staff members that are making $80,000 to $100,000 a year. So your cash donations are mostly going to the people who are working there. And almost none of it actually gets to the street. So if you're talking about a homeless family, a woman living in her car with her 2 little kids, I know where they're parked. And so I would take stuff to them personally and knock on the door of the car and say, you guys hungry? Wow. And it was really fun because I don't have a boss. So I can go wherever the hell I want. If I want to go to Venice one day or go down to, you know, in North Hollywood, they're everywhere now. So, and that was fun, but it didn't go anywhere. We needed a lot of money and couldn't raise it. And it was the bureaucracy, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying. Still trying.
Still there,
Thank you for doing that. So I also, when I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, you also mentioned you are kind of expand your business to a different sectors, right? You're like, I just heard you say courses, maybe books.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that just yet.
Okay.
I want to
cat out of the bag.
Yeah, I just don't want to take the chance of somebody beating me to it.
Yeah.
Because it's a really great idea. And so better to keep ideas to yourself until you can actually do them before
so we can just keep watching the website.
Yeah, watching you.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to be in the next couple of weeks that it launches. So I can tell you that. And it's really exciting.
So something for us to look forward to.
Yay. And you personally, I think you will enjoy it because you said something about sometimes struggling with your makeup and not knowing what products.
Totally. Yes. Exactly. All right.
Oh, and I am writing a book.
Okay.
That I don't have to worry about disclosing because everybody has a book. But mine is just for trans women. And it's been years in the making. And I'm finally, once the other first idea kicks off in a couple weeks, then I can really get down and dirty with it. I don't know if anyone's going to read a book about makeup.
Yes.
Do people still buy books? I don't know.
They do.
But if it's something that you need
Even
to do.
if it's ebook,
you know, if it's something you absolutely have to do, then just do it and get it over with. And maybe no one will see it or buy it or whatever, but at least it'll be out of your, you know, you got to spit stuff out when it's in there. So
put it out in the universe.
Totally.
Okay. So
there's some great business principles.
Yeah. Do you have any last piece you want to share with everyone? Business, personal? Or Michelle, do you have any questions for Gina before we close off?
I'll let you talk first. I'm just amazed at your creativity. I love your heart and passion for our community.
Thank you so much.
And that it always, I'm going to tear up a little bit. It always touches me to see people that have gone so far out of their way for us.
Yes.
And I know so many of us, even in today, we feel alone and lost and not know exactly where to turn. But there's people like you that are lights in the darkness that are there specifically for us to help us navigate this journey that is so complicated and so costly and so everything and so exciting and invigorating as well. But so thank you. Thank you for your heart. Too. Thank you for
It's not a one-way street. It helps me. I don't know if I'm sure you know this, I'm a cancer survivor.
Oh, wow.
And so when that happened, I think everybody goes through this when they're diagnosed and when they're fighting for their own life, that they tend to try to bargain with the guy upstairs.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, I actually did make a pact that if I was given another chance, that I would spend the rest of my time helping others.
Wow.
And at that moment, I was already in that universe. I was already involved in that universe. So it just seemed natural to stay where I was comfortable, to teach what I actually know, instead of trying to learn something in order to teach it.
Totally.
Yes.
Which is already so needed.
It felt like no one else is doing this. And I've seen other people pop in and look around and pop back out.
Yes.
You know, so there's been lots of artists that have come along to the community and said, I know, I'll do trans women.
Yeah.
And they look around and they realize that this is hard work.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's, you know, it's an up and down community. Sometimes they'll help you help them, and sometimes they will not help you help them.
Yes.
Sometimes they are very difficult.
Particular. Yes.
Right. And so if you don't have a backbone to stay in a community that sometimes don't want your ass there, and they, you know, they're moody and they're up and down too, because they're going through so much in their lives. And sometimes they don't give a rat's butt about makeup. They've got bigger problems. And if I can't help them with those problems, then I'll help them with the little ones. You know, you might be going through hell, but you are going to look good when you do it.
I love it.
And if I can help that, then
See, that's amazing to me. I love that because it is so hard. And to have, for me, makeup was probably one of the biggest question marks. And not having any idea how I was going to look during transition or any of the end results. But makeup
really
was
good to me.
Thank you. Makeup was a long haul.
I know.
And so
I know.
the fact that you're still committed after all these years, and even when we can be very difficult,
But you know what? What makes up for it is when you see that light go on. Yeah. And when you see somebody go, oh my God, that's all that is. This whole time I've been struggling, and all it is like, for instance, trying to put on false lashes. Almost everyone holds them the wrong way. You're holding them like this, and you can't go on. They can't go on. You can't go. You pull them back off. And I'm like, honey, turn them upside down. Grab them this way. And they put them on. Oh my God. And so that's actually what I live for. Those little moments when someone gets it, or when they do their makeup completely beginning to end by themselves without any guidance whatsoever, and they take a picture and they send it to me.
Yes.
And I'm like, see? And I get goosebumps when that happens. I figured I'll know when it's time to quit when I stop getting goosebumps. Yeah. But right now I still do. When someone learns something, it's so meaningful to me. So it really, and you, by the way, you can email me anytime. You can, all you got to do is ask me. Okay.
Yeah. You know, I've seen your website for years.
It might take me 1 or 2 days to get back to you, but I will eventually. And send me a question. Email me a question, and I'll send you pictures. I'll send, here you go. Here's the fake. I wrote the novel about this very thing. So that's because that's what it's not about makeup for me. It's about confidence.
Yes.
It's about having the guts.
Authenticity.
Guts to go outside. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Just having the guts to go outside. It's hard enough out there. It's scary as shit out there.
That first time for
Especially
everybody.
and if you look bad. I had this one cross-dresser come over to me one time at 7 o'clock in the morning, begged me if I'd let her in. And she drunk. Had her wig completely sideways and had like this really like Mimi from the Drew Carey show, blue eyeshadow and the smeared lips. And I said, wow. I said, this is a joke, right? Somebody sent you here. No one could be doing makeup that bad. No one.
Wow.
It's not possible. She says, well, and I was like, oh God, come in. So I know that it's out there. It's like there should be just some common sense involved with makeup. Most people are pretty decent at it. I don't expect anyone to be, Kevin Aquana overnight, but the whole red thing, honey.
Yeah. We live in a world that seems to have less and less common sense now, though, than we had maybe in the past.
We've been dumbed down.
Yeah.
Because people are social media. Social media has made everyone stupid.
Yes. Well, I am really glad to know you, and thank you so much for your heart and your commitment to our community.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
You gave us some great business principles as well.
Thank you so much.
Licensing over financing,
franchising,
streams of revenue, and so.
Thank you so much. It's been really fun.
So you have to come back when you're ready for your.
Will you have me
your
back
course,
when I'm ready to make my big announcement?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. I really appreciate it. That'd be wonderful.
Great. And we have a very special guest for you today. Someone that knows me rather intimately. My electrolysis, Paula Grippi, is here. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about the stages that we have to go through during our transition, and specifically in this case, electrolysis. So Paula, welcome to the Transparency Podcast Show.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Very good. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this, specifically with trans people, because you have a large trans population.
Yes, I do.
That you work with.
I started electrology about 15 years ago, and little did I know I was going to enjoy doing hair removal. When I originally started, I was bored out of my mind. I was like, I hate doing this. This is horrible. Really? This is not fun. I'm a hairdresser actually for 30 years. So I wasn't sure I wanted to do electrolysis until a very good friend of mine who happened to be a state board examiner for electrologists said, think of it as a way to help people with an issue of unwanted hair. So because I hadn't thought of that sort of mindset instead of it being a process, then I started thinking about people who had issues, and there's a lot of hair issues that people have. And so with that mindset, I started doing hair removal, and I was very, very excited. I said, this is really cool because people really needed to have hair removed.
Yes.
Now, as for the trans population individuals, I was doing hair for people at Kaiser Permanente.
Okay.
And I'm doing, fixing their hair and coloring it and cutting it and making them look beautiful. And they had approached me and said, we're going to start a program for transgenders, and so we can do surgeries, but we need hair removal. Would you be interested? So I met with the docs and the people in power, and we started talking about how long they thought it would take and, what's all involved. And that's how I got involved.
Wow,
So I was at the beginning of their program.
Wow, very cool.
So,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
It's exciting. You helped create it. Very good. What percentage of your population, of your clients are trans, do you think?
Currently, I would say about 80% of my population
Pretty high.
are transgender
Very good.
folks.
And Shelby is thinking about
Yeah,
doing
I
electrolysis.
want to ask you, what's the difference between LASIK and electrolysis?
Laser and electrolysis.
Yeah, because I actually did laser before, and I don't have any problems for many, many years. And somehow I don't know what happened. It just started growing back
Started growing
on my
back.
facial. Yes.
Well, laser and electrolysis are both very, very effective for hair removal. And laser has its advantages and disadvantages. One of the things about laser, if you have melatonin-rich skin, which there's a Fitzpatrick scale, 1 through 6, 1 being very light skin, 6 being very dark skin. If you have very melanin-rich skin, which would be Fitzpatrick scale, say 4, 5, and 6, laser isn't necessarily compatible for you. Or if you have blonde hair, red hair, or white hair, clear hair, laser won't work. Laser is an awesome way to get rid of hair if you have the right skin tone and the right hair color. I prefer that somebody go and start with laser and get the majority of the hair removed and then come for electrolysis to have the rest of the hair taken care of. But both very effective methods.
Okay, so my first question for you, is it painful?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's painful. I think there's a little S&M in me because I really enjoy doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's painful. You can use a numbing cream. You can get, you have your doctor prescribe a compound pharmacy to do a prescription strength numbing cream that's good. Currently, there are a lot of facilities, if they have a nurse on staff or doctor on staff, they'll do lidocaine injections. And those are very effective.
Okay.
Which Kaiser does, however, not in Long Beach yet. They do it in West LA, but so I looked into this, but I'm not able to drive after the shot from West LA here to have electrolysis done because I don't know why. Maybe I couldn't fill the gas pedal or something.
No. You actually could do it. It's pretty cool. I have some colleagues in other areas that actually do the lidocaine injections. And you can work for up to 4, 5, 6 hours, say, and get a complete clearing. In a lot of cases. So I just haven't figured out how to bring that into the facility because you would have to be a nurse or a doctor doing the actual injections.
So how long is typical one session?
Okay.
Or does it vary?
Well, it varies. It really varies. I typically have my clientele come in once a week for an hour because usually at about an hour you hit a wall and with the pain and you can't handle it.
Or
Some
45
people,
minutes.
or 45 minutes. Some people can handle longer sessions, but usually about an hour.
Okay. So how, like, for example, if I start today, how long do I need to go for this procedure?
Okay. Usually with the genital area, you take anywhere from 18 to 24 months to completely do a clearing in the site that they need to do the surgery.
Okay.
And that's pretty typical.
How about for facial hair?
Facial really depends. I've gone anywhere from 150 hours to 450 hours. It's all determines the density, per square inch. How much hair do you have? And have you previously treated the hair? We have a lot of people that haven't liked their hair, so they've done tweezing. Then you get what we call a distorted follicle, and it just takes much longer time to work. But that's, I'd say faces take longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you were explaining to me the cycle. Was it about a 3-month cycle for the hair to regrow?
Let's talk about the hair on the face versus
Yeah,
the hair on the body. The hair on the face usually takes about 16 weeks for one hair to complete a cycle. And what I mean by a cycle is each hair has 3 stages: anagen attached to the root, catagen detached from the root, and it starts to migrate up the follicle. Then there's a resting stage called telogen. Now, the hair, in order for it to be completely destroyed, whether it's laser or electrolysis, has to be destroyed in the anagen stage that's attached to the follicle. In that 16-week period, the root is only attached to the follicle for 4 weeks. So 1 month attached to the, where you could actually destroy it. Now, there's techniques that you can do within the process where you can try to insert the probe, because that's what we're doing, is we insert a probe into the follicle, apply a small amount of electricity, if that's the method that we're using, because there's 3 different methods. And you can go even a little bit lower, push it to where the follicle would be developing and attempt to destroy that. So it's really about how you do it. So it's a guessing game. So if you do the algorithms, the hair I treat today, let's say it's at the beginning stage, that's going to take 4 months for that same hair to come back. So that's why the long length of time. And even with laser, it takes about 12 sessions, but you're 6 to 8 weeks apart.
Yeah. So you have to monitor the cycle to see what grows back or what doesn't, to know what needs to continue to be cleared.
Ideally, what you want to do is do a complete clearing and then keep that clearing up, because as a new hair emerges, what happens is baby hair. The baby hair has got a very short length to it, and the small hair follicle, much easier to destroy than something that's gotten longer and deeper.
Very good. And so,
if that makes sense.
So I know with me, you use different size probes at different times. So there are multiple sizes. Is that based on the size of the follicle, or how does that work?
Yes. What you want to do is, if you have very fine hair, you want to use a thinner probe. If you have a thicker hair and a thicker follicle, you want to use a thicker probe. So it's based on what hair you're working on. So the face on the hair versus the hair on the genital area could be different in different areas. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any other areas that people will ask you to do for your service?
Well, I'll do face, and I'll do the genital area or the surgery site, and the doctor will determine, based on the type of surgery that you're going to have, the area that needs to be cleared. There's a slight difference between doctors on what area, on the actual area that they want the hair removed from for the surgery site. I have a lot of girls that come to me, and I will approach them about their eyebrows. Eyebrows are like a frame on a picture. A picture without a frame isn't as pretty, but a picture with a frame, it can just showcase it. So I really like to do eyebrows and help girls determine what kind of shape of eyebrow would look, say, best for their face. So I will always approach that, and I love doing eyebrows.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's going to be painful. I can imagine it there.
Actually, it's less painful.
Really? Interesting.
I did wax before. It's kind of, I don't know, strange feeling.
Rip your skin.
Yeah, like,
right. Exactly. So the science is, you're actually, with the probe, you're putting that into the follicle, and how much electricity do you give it to stun it enough to not regrow?
Well, we're actually destroying the tissue and the hair follicle so that it doesn't grow again. As far as the amount, you try to do something. Ideally, I want to do maybe 1 or 2 taps, because I use my foot to tap on the applying the electricity.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then there's intensities, and so based on how sensitive is your skin, how dense is the hair, how deep is the hair, different areas in the body will have different depths, so that will determine what I'm going to use or what modality I'm going to use.
Okay, interesting. Very good. And so most of your patients, do you think they go 45 minutes to an hour? I know you do have some that that can handle much longer?
I
What's
do.
kind of an average?
Mostly the average is an hour session, but I do have some clients that'll go for 2 hours, and maybe we'll do an hour on the face and the beard area, and then an hour, on the genital area. Just kind of how you're feeling that day.
Yeah, I think my wall starts around 40 minutes. And there's one time, we were talking about this Thursday, one time, probably about 3 weeks ago, for some reason, it didn't bother me as much. Oh. And I don't know, I wasn't drunk or anything, so I don't know exactly what it was, but I was able to handle it a little bit better.
Wow.
But then next time I'm really sensitive again. So it's very interesting how that changes.
A couple factors play into, I usually say, make sure you're very hydrated. So a couple days before, you want to drink a lot of water, especially the day you have no caffeine. No caffeine. Caffeine stimulant will make you a lot more sensitive.
Interesting.
You do a combination of whatever Tylenol, aspirin combination will work. It's just all factors play in. If you're stressed or the end of your day, or you've had a stressful day, it could be more painful also.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Wow. So let me ask you a little bit more of a community question. Because I know we've talked about this before, why are you drawn to work with the trans community, with our community? Why do you work with us?
What I've found out through the process, and I've been working with the trans community for 10 years now, such appreciation for the work that I do. They're so happy to have the hair removal. It's more of an appreciation, and you develop a relationship. Yeah, totally. And I really admire all that you have to go through to get to become the authentic you. And I am an intricate part of that.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I feel very fortunate to be able to do this. Yeah. I was going to say, I've been coined as the transgender midwife, by some people. And, I have the privilege of helping and facilitate this beautiful journey for transgender gender transition, and help bring you, into this new world. Yeah. It's a rite of passage. The transition is a sacred place and self-development and growth, and it's a journey of rebirth and a passage into a new, life.
Right.
And I get to be part of that process. So I'm very, very happy and very proud that I get to be part of the transition that y'all get to go through.
And for me, you've been such a big part. I remember some of my first times I was so nervous and scared and unsure of myself. And then to how our relationship has developed, and the encouragement you've been for me has been amazing. And that you've been there every step of the way, and in a very intimate, sometimes awkward place.
Well, I want to provide a safe and comfortable healing space that allows you to feel comfortable. I mean, many clients are in that cocoon stage where they're not there and they're not here. Right. Mm-hmm. So I want my space to feel like you're sort of in the middle, and there's magic in the middle. Mm. And I am very happy to be able to provide that sort of space for everybody, but especially I've developed so many great friendships that have lasted way beyond surgery, way beyond my electrolysis, and it's been just wonderful.
Right.
So
I come into some after sometimes with our appointments with ladies that are before me that you've known for years and years, and you guys are singing and joking and having just all kinds of fun. And electrolysis, I would not say is fun, but if you can find a electrologist that makes it fun, it's so much better. So I have to say, I don't necessarily like doing what I come to do, but because you're there, it makes it so much better.
Oh, and thank you.
It makes it bearable for sure.
Yeah. So where can people find you? Are you on social media? Where's your facility at?
Well, I actually rent space at Sherry and James Salon in Long Beach, California. And Sherry, prior to me coming to work in her facility, I've been there for about 10 years. She had another electrologist there for 12 years. So they've been used to having an electrologist.
Okay.
So that's where I'm hanging out, and I love it. So.
Very good. And you've done something different the last few weeks, maybe even a month now, with the state. And so that's been a fascinating, and I'm glad that we live in a state like California compared to some of the things that are happening in states. But tell us how you're working with the California state prison system.
Well, I was approached by the California State Prison System to work with transgender folks who are incarcerated and are going to go through transition and need hair removal. And so I agreed to work with the facility, and they bring their inmates to me, and that are transitioning and need to have surgery prep. And it's been wonderful. They're so thankful that they have a space to go to, and I think it's about acceptance.
Right. Yes.
You know, it has really changed my opinion about people in general.
Right.
If you're in need and it's something I can serve you with, I am there for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. So you have inmates coming from, where do they come from?
well, different facilities throughout, without naming where the prisons are.
But Southern California area.
Yeah, Southern California area, and they bring, they're transported to me.
To the salon.
To the salon, and I do it on a day that the salon isn't terribly busy because it's a little intimidating to other clients.
Gotcha.
Because
There's security guards there.
Yeah, there's 2 security guards that bring the inmates to me, and then they come in for 2 hours, and they're just so happy to have the opportunity to have hair removal and then to be able to go through surgery. So that's something new for me.
Yeah, very good. And will this will continue for a while, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
the way it's going. So
Right. Yeah. So, how if I'm going to visit your service for the first time, how does it start? Do I get a consultation first?
Well, normally when you get to the stage where you know you're going to have hair removal, you've pretty much gone through all of your prep through, psychological preparation.
Yes.
The surgeon will tell you, the area. You've gone way through your transition, and now it's physically having to have your hair removed. But yes, I'll have you come in the first time, fill out paperwork. The most important thing is for you to feel comfortable. Everybody's, it's like nobody wants to take their clothes off. And I have, a sheet or something you can have. Actually, it's a cashmere blanket that you can wrap around yourself. And maybe, I'm telling you after about 30 minutes into it, you don't care. So people come in, rip off their clothes, jump on the bed, and I've got a really comfortable bed. If you need heat or cooling or whatever, or an ice pack, and then the goal is to make you feel as comfortable as possible. Okay. And sometimes it takes a little while. Now, with that being said, I want people to feel safe. So many people have shame about having a penis, or, it depends if you're, M to F or F to M. Right. So they're so ashamed and they hate it and they just have all this distrust. The biggest thing I want to convey to you is your subconscious mind believes what you say to it. You start loving that. That's going to be your new vagina.
Yes.
I'm helping you. I want you to love all your body parts, because we're transforming.
Right.
So literally and figuratively. Right.
Yeah. So I want to convey that. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to start thinking in a different way. I don't know if Michelle explained to you, I have things on my ceiling when you're laying down and looking up, all positive affirmations and things. If you get one thing out of being there that makes you think perhaps in a different light, or gives yourself positive reinforcement, then I've created something for you that day.
Yeah, it is empowering. It's part of our journey to be who we're supposed to be. And that doesn't make it fun or less painful. It still hurts like hell, but it's part of the journey. And I would go, as many times as I had to get it done, what I need to get done. So yeah, it's kind of an important part of that.
Well, and the other thing is if I can get you to talk and tell me a story and keep talking and talking, the pain is like half of what you think it is. If you concentrate on the pain, it's going to be more painful. So come in with a story. Give me a story. Talk to me.
Yeah, and you're such a great talker too. You bring that out. We talk about everything from astrology to she also rescues hummingbirds. So she talk about birds, we talk about family, talk about everything.
Yeah.
And so, makes it fun.
It's neat because I've developed so many great friendships and so many relationships with people that I know I'll have a lot of these friends for a lifetime.
Yeah. You're stuck with us for a while.
Yay.
Now, if you're planning on bottom surgery, which some people do, some people don't, it's depending on what they feel comfortable with,
Right.
and that's great, whatever situation. Now, have had friends that have come in early, even before transition, to start working on their face. Is there a kind of a timeline that you might suggest that, or just whenever you can, or whenever the finances are there, or insurance kicks in?
There's two factors, time and money.
Okay,
That's pretty much it. Do you have the finances to afford to do this? Do you have an insurance plan that works for you? A lot of people I'll talk to prior to, maybe it might be a year or 6 months prior to them even going in for a consultation, what do they do? And I really like facilitating that sort of a conversation to get them think, what insurance do you have? Where have you coordinated with your transgender coordinator to find out what is covered, what's not covered? Then find out if it's something that I can do the billing for, or are you going to get reimbursed? What super bills do I have to do?
Yeah.
So I have people that'll come to me 2 years prior to them even doing anything, or a year prior to, and I'll just kind of walk them through what they can do in the meantime.
Great.
And that seems to help. And they always come back.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know I've had friends that have done that, and prior to even maybe if they not sure that they're going to fully transition, but they start that anyway, because that is a source of dysphoria. And so then I'm kind of like, man, I wish I would have started earlier too. But
everybody says that. I think everybody.
But I mean, I have Kaiser personally, and so I'm very thankful for what they cover and how easy. And then that's how I connected with you, is through Kaiser. They gave me some options in my area, really 2 options in my area, and you were the closest. So I'm glad I chose you.
I'm glad you chose me too, because I love you.
So I'm going to choose her then.
Yes, I highly recommend her.
Yeah.
So what would you have other, since you've seen such a spectrum of our journeys, what words of encouragement or advice would you have for someone that's just starting out?
Oh, goodness. Just, I would say, continue your journey. This is something that, be authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
If this is something you're thinking about doing, reach out. There's so many places you can reach out and talk to others to find out what it is that you need to do. Call me. Anybody. I mean, there's so many resources now. And just go forward, move forward. Don't stop. Don't run. Don't walk.
Yeah, right.
Step by step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you would be open to people contacting you via social media or email to just ask questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Especially when it comes to what they need to do in maybe locating a surgeon, or even with electrolysis, even if you're not in the area. I have lots of friends that do this work in other areas across the country that, we all network.
Awesome.
So
very good.
Yeah. Reach out.
Yes.
Reach out to, everybody.
Yes. Yeah. And I know that Paula is on some forums, Facebook groups that she responds to when people have questions and stuff. So she is very available and accessible to that. And you would offer a free consultation, right?
Absolutely.
Mention the podcast and
mention the podcast. Come in for a free consultation. Kind of get an idea of where you're going, and maybe adjust your thinking in a different way. And that's sometimes what you need to do is adjust how you approach things, just in general.
And just to answer questions, because I think I came in with a very not knowing what to expect, and just so everything was a question. And you've been so good about answering those and kind of helping create a pathway that is comfortable, not painless, but comfortable. That's kind of the theme, I guess, today. But it's amazing. And so thank you. Thank you for being my person.
Thank you.
Well, we all have our journeys, and whatever journey you're on is important and valid. And we want to encourage you in that, to be safe, to reach out, to find a place that you have support and community. That's, again, the purpose of this podcast is to build community in our group. And so reach out to Paula. There's different stages of your journey that you'll find yourself on, and there'll be people like her that'll be available to you. So reach out. Yes. Hopefully you'll find someone in your area that is as great as Paula has been for me, and to provide with you all the services and encouragement that you need. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.